It looks like I can either view the story or... Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. There's an ad. Hang on. Wait. Wait. It's a WWE ad? Okay, anyway. Looks like we can continue.
He'd made bad choices. But now, when the real battle came, he wouldn't make those choices. He wouldn't make the same mistake twice. The book's pages began to flip backwards, towards the beginning. And he realized that his adventure was just beginning.
So, I can
The
go
clouds
backwards and use
parted
different
over the
decisions.
Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer.
Yeah, they
Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Renato. And also, his old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renato really leave an old friend to the Ravens?
So it looks like this one here. Since there's no exclamation point to it, I'm not going to do it. But I do think we should go try the Sky Ripper.
Every child knew about the Sky Ripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces. What could have brought them to light? This Emperor, Isengrim III, had once been kind, but he'd gone mad. And now he was conducting secret, obscene rituals to bring back the lost gods. Had he, somehow, summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the earth? It was more than Renato could fathom. But if he could find a legendary weapon, he would use it.
Well, I guess if I go back to the ones that I already did, I'd be able to unlock those other chests, now that I have a
As he
different
set
sword.
foot on the island, Renato couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Lupino still waiting to be rescued?
Yes.
No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Renato felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Renato never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out.
Exactly.
The Sky
Like
Ripper
all
was a
heroes
long
do.
shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it?
Of course he could. I'm gonna stick with the Sky Ripper path. Treasure sense. That's what that was, treasure sense.
Sparkly, thought Renato.
I think I can either craft a new sword or upgrade one, so hopefully I find a workbench soon. And I can. Here we go. We'll take this, please. Freeze enemies. Ice sword. In a minute, there's something over here. Alright, so now I have a blue, a red hero. Cut you.
Anyone ever tell you have a lovely eye? No?
It just makes me feel like Simon Pegg's doing all this. I think it's fun to imagine him doing it. So I think I just need to activate the purple sword, and I should be able to unlock most of the doors. Or all of them.
The people who had built this castle, did they even know what monstrous weapon lay hidden within their walls? The Sky Ripper could destroy anything it touched, or so the legend said. As the Transcendent Emperor had fought the Lost Gods, thousands of thousands
I think
had
I might
died.
get the shield
But
ripper.
Bernardo had been through wars. The only merciful war was a short one.
Grab enemies, stamina. Should do that, but I think the shield's gonna be better.
And better.
Oh, and I still have. There we go. No need to choose. Although I could have gotten 2 health upgrades. Is there a hook over here? Does not look like it.
Ice walls only let you through if they knew you were cool.
I am cool. Sick. Oh my goodness.
Can I borrow that?
Excuse me, I have the Sky Ripper, thank you. Shield Ripper, sorry. I couldn't tell where the shields popped off at. Oh, a red chest. What are you new? Oh, look at this. What is that? Treasure Hunter gem. Oh, okay. I think there's one back here. Nope. Gotta find another one.
You got such delicious looking eyeballs! Caught the lead raven. Thank you, I think, said Renato. It never hurt to be polite. Renato felt ready to become faster, stronger, bolder. If only he could figure out which.
Need a couple of apples, please. I don't need this. I should use the powers a little more, I guess. I don't have the purple yet.
Sharp? Check.
Slice.
Pointy? Check.
Slice.
Flexible? Check. What else do you need in a sword?
Nope. Slice. Slice. why when you slice a couple of them, they look like a ham. It seems a little strange to me. And then the other ones don't.
Boy, if looks could kill.
Eh, because it's an eye.
Was that your shield?
Okay.
Firewalls only let you through if they think you're hot enough.
I wonder if this is just gonna open up a treasure path. Okay, I have gotten this guy's shield like 3 times.
I'd have wondered how his laundress was going to get all these bloodstains out of his tunic.
Sweet. Energy on kill.
That had been his mistake before. Trusting his old friend Lapino, who'd been through so many battles with him and shared so many heartaches, who he'd rescued so many times. What was up with that guy anyway?
Okay. Wonder if there's any way to get back. Nope. Alright, let's see what we got. I think I need more health, then probably more health, and then probably more health. The workbench would be nice too.
There it was. Sky Ripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Sky Ripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him.
True. Very true.
It was a no-brainer. He'd sacrificed his old friend Lapino to get the armature. And the armature was useless by itself, only a series of coils and wheels. War demanded sacrifices, and he would make more before the end. He would have to choose the greatest good, no matter how much it cost him. Zenobia. Well, he would see her sooner or later, across a battlefield or a sword's point before all this was over. He was sure of that. The power was in the core. Obviously, he had to get the core.
I like how it branches in the storyline.
He looked
It
up
makes
at
it
the old
interesting.
trees around him. They were so big and so old. They'd been there before he was born, and they'd be there after he'd passed into legend. Was he confronting his own unimportance? What had got into him? He was no philosopher. Anyway, who cares? He was plenty important. He was a hero, and soon he'd prove it.
Oh, it's a big chest. Love to find some, like, healing, if at all possible. Please. Just looking, no healing, alright.
He'd once met a pirate captain who used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, what was his name again?
Possibly Captain Hook. I might save up for that purple sword, because it seems like there's a lot to get there. Sure, let's go down. Probably shouldn't have done that. Fight. No fight.
There was something sour in the air. Like the earth had ruptured over something that had been fermenting for a very long time. Ooh, sparkly, thought Renardo.
Cool. Nothing to break.
Where did that go to?
Get out of the way! I was trying to dash. Apparently I was out of energy. It gave me a little more health. Let's try this one out. Wow. Yeah, it did. Okay. Yeah, everything's fine. It's like, excuse me, can I do anything here? There we go. Still
There were
a
fewer
lot
and
of
fewer
health.
trees. There were only these huge crystalline growths. Had those been here before? He no longer heard birds except for the feverish cawing of the ravens when they attacked. He couldn't smell the small animals of the forest. The mice and rabbits. Where had they gone? And he was getting hungry too. This was an unhealthy place to be.
Yeah, let's say there's. I mean, he was getting hungry, so that means there's no healing.
Oh, kill the fox! Oh, the ravens. Nobody said they were original. Wondered if he could learn to cook this way. Probably not.
Yeah, there's the core.
The 20-sided core made him feel physically sick. Once he had sneaked into a temple of the dark arts and he hadn't liked what he smelt and saw there. This felt like that. As quick as he could, he wrangled the icosahedron into the armature. The wheels began to spin, then glow. The sick feeling quickly spun away. Now he only felt sad. He had lost good friends for this war apparatus. Maybe Lapino wasn't such a good friend. Yeah, that made him feel better. He carried his prize back to the Farfarer. Now, he had to make his next move. There was a key Imperial outpost on the Nexus. If this really was some sort of super weapon, he could use it to wreak havoc on the enemy. And if it wasn't, well, better to know that before the final battle. But maybe he should show it to some scientists first. There was an observatory on the Nexus. Maybe he should go there before he fired it.
Let's do that.
Well, of course. If you've just assembled a weapon out of legend that can exile gods from the world, you'd want to have a scientist or two look at it. And even if they disagreed and he had time, he could ask Calaveras himself. Yes, the observatory would be his objective. Why had the parts of the Sky Ripper only surfaced now, thousands of years after the Transcendent Emperor had dismantled it? The mad Emperor Isengrim had performed terrible, bloodthirsty rituals to invoke the lost gods. Was that why these ancient artifacts were rising out of the ground? How perfect, then, that the Sky Ripper would reappear to be his destruction. Bernardo wondered idly if people who had built these poles had really, really long tentacles.
Still need some HP.
Bernardo felt a little better.
Still need purple. Just one. Get that up to level 3.
Cool. Wish I could do that. legendary weapon was exactly what the rebellion needed. They were outnumbered. The once kind emperor had become a tyrant. But his ravens stayed loyal, for he fed them his victims, and the other animals were too frightened to rebel. Renato shuddered at what the emperor was trying to do. To bring back the lost gods, the Black Harvest, the Black Sun? No. He would stop that toad, no matter what the risk.
Here we go.
I wonder what I could make with all these sword crafting materials, thought Renato.
Oh. I wonder if I can find a workbench. What that would mean. See anything down there?
Sometimes, Renato really hated inanimate objects.
All the time, actually.
The Nexus Observatory had the Empire's most renowned scientists, working by themselves without interference. At least, so far.
Here we go. Gems. Power gem. Okay. 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 Cool. Let's see. 70 ore and 11 or 12 wind essences. I'm gonna hold off for this one because it seems like it's beneficial to have all the swords unlocked.
No skateboarding, the sign said.
Oh, please.
Boy, some people were just liable to explode if you upset them.
Hit or thrown. It was within a few seconds. Use them to your advantage. Got it. Okay. Interesting new enemy. Still wish I could heal a little bit. Not a single. Oh, I missed an ore. Nothing in any of these, huh?
Renato was thrilled. The scientists seemed to think he'd put the Sky Ripper together right. But one toad was worried.
Yeah, Sky Ripper could tear a hole in existence itself. There are invisible strings that tie the universe together. If Sky Ripper cut one, the hole would widen and widen till our whole existence fell into it.
Another toad sighed.
Irving still believes in string theory. At least go see Calaveras.
Yeah, said the worried toad.
He knows more than anyone else has forgotten about the Transcendent Emperor.
If anyone could tell him how to use this weapon safely, it would be Calaveras. It was he who had told Renato how to find it in the first place. But maybe he had to give up on using it as a weapon. Maybe he had to go to the secret rebel base and ask the generals there what he could do with a weapon that he dared not use.
Go ask them.
Well, he should have known he'd have to consult Calaveras again. The scientists at the observatory were smart enough. But what did they know of the Transcendent Emperor? He hoped it wouldn't delay him too long. The rebels had scheduled the final battle soon. Every day they delayed risked the exposure of the secret base. And some soldiers were already drifting back to their homes and families. Calaveras would fix the Sky Ripper for him. And then he would win the final battle. Maybe it was the cold. But after a few steps, Renato's optimism started to slump. What if Calaveras couldn't help? Did Renato dare use the Sky Ripper? Oh, he hated that he had chosen this path. It was so much simpler to rescue friends and attack enemies, even if some of those friends were more trouble than his enemies. Some of those enemies had been friends before and might be lovers after. No, okay, it wasn't all that much simpler, no. Physics made his brain hurt. That, at least, he was sure of.
Yep.
Once, Renato had been to a dungeon where all the chests were locked. It was awful.
Not a single apple. Close. I think I need one more black orb. Give me an apple.
He tried to focus on the now. The ravens who seemed everywhere all the time. Where did they hatch from? Were there giant raven hatcheries somewhere, or did they have families? Ooh, he didn't want to think about raven mummies raising their darling raven chicks. Yeah, Calaveras would help. He would make Renato feel better about using the Sky Ripper. And then Renato wouldn't have to worry about ravens ever again. Renato was dead tired. Then he was just dead.
It's okay. We're okay. Oh, I got a little bit of health.
There was an inscription. No spitting.
Legit. So close. nope, nope. So yeah, there's
What
gotta be a
was
chest down here.
really fun was hooking yourself onto a moving ship.
I think one fell. One fell! Energy. Try using these swords a little more.
When Renato went to the china shop, for some reason the owner was always nervous.
I don't need energy. I need health. I'll take ores. 2. Why not? There we go. Sweet. Makes me a little less nervous. Is there any way I can... Yes, there is.
If only he had some way to break the ice. Or convince it he was a friend.
I would rather take all the sword door pass than the regular. Oh, because it looks like there's fun things down here. What is this? Huh.
Huh? A lever? That was new. Most people still use doorknobs. Who are these guys? They seem to make everyone else harder to kill.
Nice. Cool, buff ravens.
He smelled burned fur. His.
I want to do that thing where, you know, they hurt me really bad. Oh, I had so much health. But there are 2 treasure chests. Totally worth it.
What's there?
Shield breaker. Looks good. Improbable shields. Elemental resistance.
Renato had been focusing all his energies on the Sky River. If Calaveras could not fix it, he'd be out of options. He would have to assault the Imperial fleet empty-handed.
Again, more health problems. I wish there was a better way you could renew it, besides just hoping to find an apple. It's good. I'll eventually find like a workbench and stuff, I guess. Good. Something at least. One. Make my health. Let's do that. Because I've been grabbing and throwing a ton. The wise old frog.
Calaveras had never let him down.
Yeah, of course I can make it work better.
But when Renato explained about the strings, Calaveras grew thoughtful.
Oh, strings, you say? Well, the Arcana do speak of the ties that bind the world.
He drew many intricate symbols in the dirt.
Yeah, so, according to my calculations, each time you fire, I'm afraid there's a 1 in 120 chance you'll destroy the universe.
Nice.
That's pretty good odds. That's like rolling, what, 21 dice and they all come up 6. What are the odds of that?
What? No! It's more like 2.716s in a row.
Anyway, with those odds, it won't happen if I use it just once.
What? No. That's so not right. Each time you use it... Okay, look. Just don't use it ever. At all, okay?
All right, I guess. As he sailed away from the mountains, Renato could see clouds darkening. Rain? No. Ships. Imperial ships, swarming thick as bees.
This was it.
The big battle. They could not afford to lose this one. What if it did not go well? What if he had to use the Sky Ripper? Could he gamble the universe? On the other hand, what were the odds of rolling 21 sixes in a row? The battle was not going spectacularly well. What had the rebels been thinking? They'd been thinking he would bring the Sky Ripper, or the Iblis Stone, or that he'd sideline Zenobia somehow, or turn her. Couldn't he use the Sky Ripper just once? After all, if chances were 1 in 128, that meant he'd for sure be okay the first time. They'd get worse each time he used it, but the first time would be okay, right? He wasn't sure that it was right. So he didn't fire the Sky Ripper. He just brought it along, in case.
I drank way too much water today.
Hey, a workbench. He could try out his new bling.
Yes. Right, and then I can get... Ooh. Very cool. Cool. That looks like it'll be a good weapon. And I can finally go back and open all those doors. Specifically this first one. What else do we have over here? Nothing?
You never knew where the road would take you, thought Renato.
I have no clue where we are. I guess that's the point. Don't have any skills yet. Big red chest. Oh yeah. Critical chance. Nothing else? Okay. Okay. Wait. How do you... Where do I go? Oh, okay. Did not see these.
You tried. You're hooked.
Skyhook.
Someone had told him the odds didn't change just because you'd had a streak of good luck. His gut told him that was wrong, though. And he always listened to his gut. On the other hand, 128 chances to win. But one of them would destroy the universe. That seemed a bit serious. Maybe he could defeat the Emperor without firing the Sky Ripper. Maybe he could bluff, but with a real weapon. Like in cars, you had three names, but you pretended you had a fifth in. That could work.
Come on, get out of there. It's not good. 5 HP left. Stop giving me energy stuff. Maybe I should use it more.
Oh, this really didn't have much in the way of safety features, did it?
Yeah. That was not good. It sucks that you have to die to get HP back. I mean, if I wasn't so bad, I'm sure it would be a little bit easier. Nothing there. Well, there's something there, I just can't get to it. So once I finish this story, I'm probably going to call it quits for tonight. I've had a lot of fun with this so far. Expected. Oh my god, there's a guy.
He set up the Sky Ripper and let it warm up. He would bluff if he had to. Zenobia came out, flanked by a very daunting platoon of ravens. You won't actually use that. she said in that annoying, I know everything because I'm a cat and you know nothing because you're just a fox voice she had. Or I know the odds. Good. Because there's a real chance you could destroy the universe. No, not the first time I use it. The odds are too low. What? No? Yeah, sure. The first time, the odds are practically nothing. They only go up if I use it a bunch more times. No, but that's not how odds work. Didn't you pay attention in class?
Nope.
Now surrender, or I'll use it. Just once, he said. Don't.
He felt sure the odds were with him. You have to go with his gut. That's what heroes do. Fire, he said. Please? The Skyripper fired. With a tremendous whoosh, the Emperor's flagship went up in flames. It was awesome.
Yeah, of course.
And then he noticed.
There was a hole in the air. A blackness, like a tear in a parchment. Wind was blowing into it, widening it. It grew larger, and even larger. Crates fell upwards into it, and the world itself seemed bent, like the reflection on a curved mirror, as it poured into the ravenous hole. Ah, 1 in 128. What are the odds? Thought Reynardo. And then everything fell into the hole and was gone.
Reynardo stared at the book. He was still alive. Again. And still only flying away from burning Ubar. Had he lived that adventure? Or only dreamt it? Had he really died? It felt so real, not like a dream at all. And he'd lost again. Oh, he hated that. But he had made different choices. And he'd lost in a different way. It was the book, wasn't it? Oracles showed you your destiny. But this was showing him different ways he could die miserably. Thanks a bunch, book, he thought. But these were destinies that he did not have to fulfill. But he'd learn another true thing. The core was powerful, but dangerous if used improperly.
Okay, cool. So I think that's gonna do it for us tonight. If you're out there watching, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. These videos will be up on YouTube, so there will be a 30-minute one, about a 30-minute one, a 30-minute one, and then this one, which went almost an hour. I was trying to keep it all pieced together. That way, you know, you saw this story from here all the way to the finish. So I might do that on Wednesday when I pick this back up. We will continue to go through. I will hopefully unlock every one of these, because it seems like it's a fun game. So, thank you for watching. We'll be back Wednesday at 7 p.m. for more of Stories, The Path of Destinies. Thanks for stopping by.